Hey guys, this is Ren's song for Joe. As I understand, and this is really all I understand about this song, is that it's a follow up to Ren's song called Suicide, which we reacted to. And if you haven't seen that, go check it out. But let's get right into it.
It's hard to take off.
Okay, I'm actually going to pause it before he even starts singing, just to talk about the beauty of Ren's musical writing here. Not a word has been spoken, but a strong, powerful, moving feeling has still been conveyed to the audience. It's so powerful to hear his singing there that was reminiscent of almost Middle Eastern chants, right? Mm-hmm. But it sounded so pained. There are no words to express this. I'm going to do it with the only sounds that I can think of that will express this. And I'm going to do it to music that will strike your soul despite not having words to specify the emotion. You don't need that. The feeling's already portrayed. It's so beautiful to have an artist who's so good at this.
Well, and even taking a step back, we see the cityscape and we soak in the cityscape with the piano first.
Yeah.
And that cityscape gives this sense of smallness to the individual, this sense of loneliness, this sense of minusculeness, if you will. And then bring it down here, and you can see his face. We have this emotion here. And let's go. It's good.
From the ground, when your wings are cut, your stomach burns when you're drinking from an empty cup. You know the entire ocean came from my tear ducts. I see the world through Fibonacci sequences and double Dutch. I guess there's some that's born lucky, there's some that's not. I tried to cut away my bitterness, hatchet job. I locked my youth inside the trunk, inside the pickup truck, then dumped that whole thing over that same bridge the night you jumped. I think about that sometimes, vividly. What it felt like to look down and see tranquility. One sudden movement in a world of possibility. Only one movement to expose our fragility. I fucking miss you, and I miss myself. I miss thinking we were indestructible as hell. I miss chilling by the pier cave and kicking back with Callum, Hugo, Justin, Sega, Stevie and the fucking lads. I miss missing that. I numb myself to close the gap. I never even call them up. Distance is my plaster cast, to tell the truth. The day you jumped, my childhood jumped too. But I still can't find the angle. All I find is missing you, man, I miss you. With all my rhymes, I picture running 5 minutes quicker. I'm right on time. I picture pulling you.
He doesn't have to be cryptic in this song to express this emotion. It's very straightforward, but there's no flourishes, there's no fluff in this. There is simple piano playing quietly in the background just to help keep the correct atmosphere.
Which it does. The piano actually adds so much to this.
I find this piano that's being played is very similar to the type of music you're going to hear during a sad scene of a film, like a very well done film. It's not something you actively notice, but it's there enough to help maintain the atmosphere through the silence between the lines when things need to be spoken, just to help keep the correct mindset is really all that's doing in this song. He's essentially reading a poem that he's written.
Right. The music and what you're describing reminds me of Schindler's List. a little bit. Just some of that, the way that the music and the silence and the scenery, but he's building the scenery for us, lyrically.
Mm-hmm. There were several lines that really struck out hard. I mean, the first one was him talking about taking his youth and just trying to tear it out because it hurts too much to have it there. I did a hatchet job of it. It's out now. I dumped it. And then he says he dumped his youth just like you dumped yourself over the bridge the night you jumped. And looking down and seeing tranquility, one moment that's now defined the future. It's hard to deal with the loss of a loved one, especially in the context where he's dealing with the loss of Joe. It's so hard. And knowing that this one moment has now decided the entire future of this person, that their timeline has hit the end.
Well, and in some ways, it's decided the entire future of all the people connected to them as well.
Yeah.
And if you've ever lost a loved one to suicide, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and exactly what Ren is talking about.
Man, Ren is a treasure. I don't think is quite the right word, but I mean, it's not often that we find people who are so incredibly gifted musically in the ability to portray ideas and feelings so raw. It's amazing. Just amazing.
Back over the edge and then we're crying and holding you, my brother, and telling you that it's fine, not the way that it worked. I was late like a jerk. There's not a day where I can find a way to break from the hurt. Your body missing, so we never got to wave to the hearse. I hope you're listening. I love you, man. I miss you, absurd. Fuck.
Okay, I want to pause it before we start singing again, because that piano line, again, I mean, he's doing this again and again throughout the song. I feel like I'm a broken record. He was able to, through that piano line, the building and the sinking, and the building and the sinking, it strikes at the bitter sweetness of having such a strong relationship with someone that you care about. The amazing highs and the potential lows that you open yourself up to. The tempo of it goes up and then sinks back down to show that, like, there's going to be moments where there are so many emotions hitting you. And there are moments when things slow back down. And once it slows back down, he's about to start singing again. But it just through the piano, without words, he was able to express even more, to add more emotion, things that words can't really say effectively. Everyone's experienced it, everyone can feel it, but the music expressed it in such a way that he didn't need words to add an entire verse's worth of thought. Mm-hmm. Just incredible.
Yeah, the words, this poem, if you will, is adjuncted to, or addended even to, you might say, to the Suicide song.
Yeah.
But here, where he's singing it in front of us and the piano, it adds so much to it that wasn't there before. Mm-hmm. And I think what you said just hit the nail right on the head.
Another domino, it falls. Across the way another's born. How you're supposed to raise a child and give it courage from a storm. In a world that is confusing, contradictions pave our flaws. Some will say we're only human, others judge us for our flaws. Some get born in sheets of satin, Some get by in tattered clothes, some will die before they live. That's just how the story goes. But for those of us still with us, who reside inside our hearts, tell them proudly how you feel. And for those of us who aren't, freckled angels stand strong, freckled angels live on, freckled angels climb higher, freckled angels still inspire, freckled angels won't forget you, teach me to live my life better. 13 years and still I miss you, now my wings are missing feather. Otherwise I'd come and join you, but for now I'm here on earth, stuck inside this mortal body, but for everything it's worth. Made me braver, made me wiser, made me stronger, made me true, made me face the world with courage, and that's all because of you.
All right, pausing it again before we start singing. That lyric was so much more hopeful than the others.
Yeah. Well, as someone who has several children, you do worry about them. You do worry about, especially if you've gone through your own struggles, which everybody has, and you think about your own struggles and you worry about the kids and you worry if you're doing a good enough job for them, if you're going to be able to help them
Navigate the storm and the contradictions.
Yeah, it's one thing to have your friend die by suicide. It's a huge thing. It's a huge, huge problem. And I want a better word for it. Tragedy. I can't even start to imagine being a parent of a child who's committed suicide. And all the things that Ren talks about with his survivor's guilt from that angle. And the thing is, in this world, we have good things, and we have some hurtful, sad things. And we all share that. We all share that. That's this whole thing we call the human experience or the human condition. We all share that. And I appreciate music like this and artists like Ren who remind us of that thing that we all share. And remind us of, like you said, the whole spectrum of the music of life. And that give me the opportunity to reconsider these things over and over again. And to think about the people around me, as well as myself, and where we all fit together.
If I go back to this verse, it started out again with him just expressing emotion through the moaning, almost, the wailing. I think blubbering might even be there. There's a lot of blah, blah, blah in there, right? It was.
I've never seen anything musically like that.
Just fighting through it. Getting the sound, the emotion out of him by any means necessary. Just letting it flow. And then he goes into talking about how unequal the world is. How flawed we are as humans. How contradictory the world is. How hard it is to raise children in this. And we do our best. And then he started talking about the beautiful influence that Joe was on him. To help him be more courageous, to help him be more hopeful, more bold. And this is like one of the steps of grieving with someone's loss, is remembering the good things and the lessons that they've taught you. And what a beautiful influence they were on your life. And then the music comes in. And it's so much more hopeful than what the rest of it has been. You felt kind of the highs and lows coming quickly. This one almost felt more like resolution. Like, I see the joy that I can take from this awful situation still, and this is what I'm going to take away with me. I know the hurt is there. He's been expressing that wonderfully. The hurt is there. What I want to take from it is the hope and the joy and the wonderful times that were had. And that's what I choose to remember about you, Joe. I don't choose to remember all of the end and how hard it was for you. I wish I could have been there to stop it. But what I'm going to remember is the good times and use the lessons that you taught me to move forward. I loved when he starts talking about freckled angels. It takes on so many different meanings. Yeah, the freckled angels are going to be seen as imperfect. You know, the imagery of angels is that they're white, they're flawless, they're picturesque. But that's not what people are. They're freckled. There are imperfections there. There are things that are wrong about us. That doesn't mean that we're bad. And that's what he explains so beautifully. We're not inherently evil things. We can do such amazing things for each other. We can be angels to someone else. But we're not perfect. We're freckled angels. I loved it. There was a lot to talk about in that verse.
There was almost too much.
Keep talking about it on and on and on.
There's almost too much. I want to go back.
Beautiful.
But you guys tell us what you think and what you think we missed too. So I love hearing everybody's thoughts on stuff like this.
Please.
Oh man, why are we? Oh, sorry, I dropped the tissue box.
All right.
Fire away.
Last bit.
Rewind it a bit.
I think I already had, but...
Freckled angels laugh the hardest, and their hearts, they are the largest. With their wings, they fly the farthest. So I know you're gonna be okay. Freckled angels live the longest, and their minds, they are the strongest. Oh, their friends, they are the fondest. So I know you're gonna be okay.
Easy to tell that was Ren finally saying goodbye. This was a live performance that he decided to release as close to a studio release as we have of this song. So you can imagine for him, prepping for this was probably incredibly emotional. Like when someone prepares a musical performance or a eulogy for a funeral. It's like a send-off. And you could feel that in this last bit. That was his send-off for Joe. And he sees Joe as one of those freckled angels. He talks about freckled angels laugh the hardest. They live the longest. There's a very, very profound lesson in that verse. Oh, man. Yeah, I need a tissue. I mean, profound lesson there. That I think innately we all know. And this profound lesson can be found going back to the Garden of Eden and the story of the Garden of Eden at the beginning of the Bible, where Adam and Eve were in this perfect childlike state. There's nothing bad happening to them, but they also didn't experience any of the good. Life was probably fairly gray. And until they had felt the wrongs, the evils, until they had experienced the bad, the thorns, and the sweat of their brow required to till the earth, right? Until they had experienced all that, they could not understand and experience their joy. That's the profound lesson in that last verse. Freckled angels laugh the hardest. The people who have had the hard experience, the people who have been through the dark times, are the ones who can go the highest. That also reaches back so deep into the story of Christ himself, where it's the way that he reached the highest highs was by allowing himself to go to the lowest lows and experiencing it voluntarily. It's such a profound lesson, and it's something that people innately understand, that you can't understand the joy without also understanding the sorrow. And because he knows that Joe has experienced both, he says, I know you're going to be okay. I know you're going to be okay. What a beautiful, beautiful way to send off your friend. I mean, Ren impresses me with every performance, but this one I think hit me at a deeper level. I couldn't even keep myself from waxing religious on it.
Ren is a musical genius, and he is a master of understanding and experiencing human emotion, and not because he has some degree in understanding human emotion, but because he is an authentic person. We've talked about the importance of silence in music. And here at the end, you can feel that so viscerally with what he does at the end, where he sings his refrain, and then he sings his refrain. It's a little different, but he sings it without the piano.
Yeah, a cappella.
Now, you had said, Chase, that the piano adds so much to this performance. And it even when he's not singing, it delivers so much emotionally to us. But at the end, that's when you get to feel that all of that was added, just stripped away. Mm-hmm. And you feel it. You feel it like it was just stripped away. And all that's left is his voice. This is a masterpiece and a master class in emotional music. And like you said, it's a beautiful, beautiful send-off to a friend.
As always, hats off to you, Ren. Our last reaction to Ren was not quite just as emotional, but very emotional as well. And that was Ren and Chinchilla's How to Be Me.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful song. Beautiful song.
Another just beautiful,
one of the most beautiful songs ever written. It's beautiful.
So, if you haven't seen our reaction to that yet, go watch our reaction to that. If you want more reactions to Ren, we have a playlist of it because his music is that good. There's no song that hasn't impacted us in some way. So go check those videos out if you want more reactions like this. And we'll see you guys on the next one.